Welcome, football fans. Buckle up for another hard-hitting episode of Player 54 Podcast, an independent show focused solely on alternative and opportunity football. From a sunny Southwest Florida studio, here is your host, Michael Lathrop.
Hello, football fans. This is episode 122, Thankful for Football. It has been a short turnaround due to the holiday this week. I want to provide the show's loyal following another episode before Thanksgiving. After all, Thanksgiving in football is as much of a staple as turkey, gravy, and mashed potatoes. So why not fit an additional football content into the week, whether it be, enjoying some extra time home or traveling to spend it with family and looking to occupy some downtime. We have something new to share with you this week. Despite the short timetable since the last episode, there is notable alternative and opportunity football news to share. In addition, this week, Professional Arena Independent Association Commissioner Terrence Fowler Sr. joins the show to discuss all things PAIA and what we can expect from the new league. But first, we have those football developments to cover. So let's get to it.
Did you hear the news? Did you hear the news?
On November 22nd, the United Football League announced the addition to its 2025 Showcase Series, with the inclusion of the first International Player Showcase that will be held in Switzerland on September 21st. On November 23rd, AF1's Wilkes-Barre Football announced Sean Liotta as head coach. On November 25th, the United Football League announced it has officially launched its first expansion process. The league's press release stated the UFL is accepting proposals from prospective markets looking to bring spring football to their communities and be part of the growth of the sport. The release mentions several core attributes in selecting new cities, which include fan interest, existing sports culture, geography, population, venue, and infrastructure availability. On November 26th, on WKKX, The Watchdog, International Football Alliance's Ohio Valley Ironman general manager and head coach Manny Matsakis announced Monarch Stadium at John Marshall High School in Moundsville, West Virginia, as the team's venue for the 2025 season. As I have previously mentioned, we will now be joined by Professional Arena Independent Association Commissioner Terrence Fowler Sr. to discuss the league, its membership, and more. Welcome, Terrence. I appreciate you taking the time to appear on the show to discuss the Professional Arena Independent Association.
Hey, I appreciate you having me on the show, Mike. Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, it means a lot, especially getting into new spaces, new leagues. Well, at least for me, I don't know how far back things got launched, but I do know that it appears to be a fairly new endeavor. So we'll get into that. All right. So as we get into that, I must admit, for years, I casually followed the arena indoor football space. Okay. The past year or so, I've been paying a little bit more attention to it because I'm a football fan, but I didn't quite know all the differences, right? Arena, indoor. So there's a lot for someone to navigate through if you're first getting into it. So like myself, or those that are even newer to it, we're in this age of an abundance of leagues and teams occupying this arena indoor space. So I understand that the Professional Arena Independent Association is a new league with a new business model.
Yes.
Can you take a moment and share with those who are tuning in what the PAIA is and where you vision it fitting into the arena indoor football ecosystem?
Okay. I'll definitely explain. Let me go back just a little bit before we get to the PAIA because it gives you the fabric of why I created the PAIA in the beginning. In 2015, I took my at that time outdoor semi-pro football team, the Georgia Firebirds. We signed a deal in Albany, Georgia, to play in the then AIF that was under different management and things at that nature. In 2016 would be our inaugural year in Albany at the Civic Center. 2017, we moved over to the NAL. Myself and my partners in the arena team at that time, Darian Tills, we were included in the makeup of the then NAL before it was the makeup it is right now as far as the business model. After the 2 years, we folded the team. We had a 2-year deal with the city of Albany. After the 2 years, we folded the team. From a business perspective, it just wasn't making money. And fast forward to now, I've stayed out of the space ever since 2018. I was the assistant general manager after my Firebirds with the Atlanta Havoc, and we won the championship in 2018. And after that, I wasn't really interested in the arena space because the business model has always been flawed. The premise behind the PAIA is we're paying, a lot of the owners are in this space because they want to make money or they want the team to be able to pay for itself. We do have those owners at the higher level of the AF1 that are maybe looking to write off or need to spend some cash somewhere and get some tax release and that sort of thing. But the majority of the owners in this space for the last few years have had a desire to sustain teams and the fan bases. You look at situations like last year where multiple teams, whether it was the highest level all the way down to the lowest level, they're folding. Why? Because the business model is flawed. We are paying entry fees into these 3-letter leagues for nostalgia purposes. These leagues that are charging you $50,000 to get in, all the way up to the highest level where you have to have multiple millions of a line of credit and that sort of thing in the NAL. What are we paying these 3-letter leagues this type of money for? Those teams could do so much more with that operational capital on a daily basis than giving it to the leagues, because the leagues offer you nothing other than name nostalgia. That is it. There's no revenue shares like it used to be. There are no national marketing deals that trickle down to all the teams from the leagues anymore. We're paying them an immense amount of money, and they can't guarantee that you won't have canceled games and have to schedule, reschedule, change schedule, or anything like that. So why are we paying these excessive fees to these 3-letter leagues for no reason? There are a lot of, and I'll keep it short, there are a lot of teams that have been announced, and I'm not one of optimism. I'm one of realism. And I've been around this industry since 2005. This business model that they're going by, all the leagues, makes no sense for the owners. These owners are paying for nostalgia that is worthless at this point in time. Put that money into your organization and be focused on the game. The PAIA, we focus on the game. The business model of that organization is of no concern to me. We have structure that we need for you to be associated with the association. We have expansion requirements. We focus on the game to make sure that your games are played just like you're doing in any other league. But we're not charging you excessive fees in order to be in this association, because an independent schedule makes better business sense for owners to make money and hit a bottom line, and to make sure you keep your fan base entertained over a lot of years. So that's the basis of it. It's a few other nuances of the PAIA that we'll talk about, I'm pretty sure, but that's why I created the PAIA. And I wanted it to be an open space for owners to come in, run an independent schedule, and put your money that you will be paying these 3-letter leagues into your organization. And let's see how that works for you. Instead of coming into the season, before the season even starts, we're in the red already. You'll never make it out of that to it being a profitable organization.
So I see that there's, I think it was August that I started seeing things coming out in the social media, right? So I'm assuming things are well underway well before that. Some things just take some time before it sees the light of day, so to speak. So
yes.
As this stuff is starting to trickle in, I mean, we've seen the initial announcement of a team over the summer, where first it was the South Carolina Ravens, and then eventually we saw the Southern Scream. Then recently we saw the Dallas Falcons and Knoxville Bandits as travel members. I assume there's plenty of discussions and there's interest, varying interest. So with 4 founding members right now, and obviously you're not going to kick off the 2025, what do you anticipate as far as that ideal number of teams for the first season?
So it makes more business sense again to keep your league and your divisions, like you see the other leagues are now switching up and switching back to the divisions format. We wanted to focus on a regional area, right? So we can keep travel down. That's another huge expense for organizations. And so we're focused on the Southeast region. I would be absolutely fine going into the season with 5 teams with arenas. Now, let me explain the difference in the South Carolina Ravens, the Southern Scream, and the Dallas Falcons and the Knoxville Bandits. The PAIA focuses on having games, not in the indoor game. I do not knock the indoor game, but I'm big on being able to be profitable, and the way that you're being able to be profitable is going into arenas. So our foundational teams will all have arenas. Yes, we do have other teams in negotiations calling, having interest. We're working through getting everything negotiated and finalized. But the South Carolina Ravens are playing in the Florence Center, which is an official arena. The Southern Scream, although it said on the press release, and that was a mistake of oversight by myself, they're not playing in the Macon Coliseum. The overhead again is too high, and with the game that I've created in the PAIA and taking away kicking, just like the new Arena League does, it opens up the ability to play in other arenas. There's an arena hit there in Macon, Georgia, that they will be playing out of, that has a very close to regulation arena field, not indoor football field like the soccer fields. And those are the difference between our foundational teams and our travel teams that's associated. Our travel teams will travel to our arenas to play our arena teams. Our arena teams will never travel to play in an indoor soccer arena. That's not going to happen. So we'll have 2 different divisions of PAIA association play this year. Arena play, which is official PAIA, those teams will be automatically included in the seeding as far as playoff round and championship. And the travel teams will also have the ability to compete for playoff positioning also, but also they'll be traveling for the entire playoff season. And if they are successful in getting in the championship game will be in Florence, South Carolina, June 13th, 2025.
So coming back to the number of teams,
Yes.
are we looking maybe 6?
Five to six teams. And again, the reason why I'm keeping it 5 to 6, I want to get this area taken care of, the Southeast region. So travel is no more than 6-8 hours, and 8 hours would be maybe a little excessive in my business plan. But 5 to 6 teams with arenas would be the goal this season. I'm open to having as many a travel association teams that would love to play the PAIA teams that are here, that are already established. But I would hope to have 5 to 6 arena teams with arenas this inaugural year.
Are there any potential teams that are interested, but they just don't see 2025 being viable? I believe there was the Dalton Mountain, or I can't remember what team it was that mentioned.
Dalton Mountain, yes.
So they're looking at 2026. Are you in discussions with other teams that were 26 is more attainable than 2025?
A lot of teams that are, I guess, new. They're new arena teams and organizations are talking about coming in 2026. We have 2 right now, other than the Dalton Mountain Snipers, that we're in discussion with to try to get everything finalized. They're finalizing things with the possible arenas that they will be going into, and that's the thing, is just making sure that we do our due diligence as an association to make sure we do have contracts with these arenas and those dates that we've been told are accurate dates and that sort of thing. So we're doing our due diligence. They're trying to finalize a few things, and we'll have 3 new teams with arenas for sure. I know Dalton for sure, and these other 2 teams, I'm pretty sure we'll get it worked out by 2026, which is the goal.
So we have this, vision now, right? I mean, people like myself are now, okay, it's gonna be an arena. We're not gonna see this indoor soccer complex with no gridiron lines. It's just, it's awkward, and I'm not trying to take a shot at anybody. Everyone's got to walk before they can run. I totally understand it, but I mean, it kind of, you get this idea of what professional is, and sometimes the product that's put out there doesn't quite come across that way. And I get it. Everyone needs to do what's best for them and get to eventually where they want to be. But now we have this vision, okay? Now, as far as rule plays, we have the IFL, even though it's indoor football league, they do play in arenas, they have a certain regulation, but there's a bit of difference in the rules, right? So we have, what I've learned is arena rules, where you have typically the nets behind, to keep the ball in play. And there's, varying variances on what they call Ironman football. So I'm just curious, how far are you going to be more of what is deemed that old AFL that people might have been, versus the IFL version where there are no back nets?
Right. So we won't have any back nets because we're going to take kicking out of the game, just as though the Arena League has done. Because again, from a business perspective, you open up a lot more arenas in other markets to be opened up that are open to arena football and have good fan bases possibly when you take kicking away. The roof, the height of the roof is usually an issue when it comes to kicking. Even with some people that have arenas, that could be a problem. In my area with the Albany Civic Center, the scoreboard was kind of down, and it was something that we had to learn. Our kickers had to learn how to kick around. But I took kicking out of the game, and the base rules, I can say, the base rules of this game will be more so of the IFL rules. You can't have up to 2 motion men in our game. The difference is the ability for the defense to score and, different little positionings depending on, what the offense is running. So we got a few differences and nuances that we make it more exciting for, people to pay attention to the game.
Well, I always think that's a pretty important aspect, because as people start getting the space, they start seeing the differences. And, before you get too invested into something, fans sometimes get into something and for whatever reason, it's not what they thought it was going to be. That's not necessarily a knock on a league or a team. Right. It's just like, we're all ignorant to some extent until we become educated. And this is kind of an opportunity to bring you on, not only, like I mentioned, to learn for myself, but for others that are especially in the southeastern part of the United States to learn of another opportunity that they may not have realized. And sometimes, word of mouth takes a while to get going, and marketing budgets and stuff are not, that of the National Football League, NBA and Major League Baseball and whatnot. So things are significantly different. So 2025, and we're used to this space playing, spring or kicking off late winter. When do you anticipate the season kicking off?
We will, I can tell you the timeline right now. Tomorrow we'll have, November 23rd, and I know it'll be, passed by the time we air, but November 23rd will be our first, association-wide, free agent workout. We've finalized with two, and we're waiting on 2 HBCUs that we're going to start doing tryouts in December and run that through the beginning of January. January 25th will be the PAIA live player draft here in Atlanta, Core Steakhouse. We will have a player draft. If you've been to any tryout, the association tryout, if you've been to a team's tryout, they have not contacted you yet to let you know you've made the team. Your name will be submitted into the players draft, and we will give you an invite to the draft. Where the players will be able to come out, they'll be taken care of like real draft players. A meal will be provided for them, refreshment. They can invite their family, and we'll actually have a draft presentation as a production that we're putting together, because I want the experience to be that of, that high level professional football organization. So January 25th is the players draft. February 15th is the first day that the teams can open their doors and do as they please with their players. They can call them in, start OTAs, start practice, start training camp, that sort of thing. The first exhibition game, official game, which will not be a PAIA versus PAIA, will be March 16th in Florence, South Carolina. The Ravens will be opening the PAIA season officially March 16th. And the Scream will open their home season in April, but they will start playing at the beginning of April, but they will start their home season second week of April or so.
So how many? Oh, go ahead.
And we're in all the way until June 13th, which is the championship game in Florence, South Carolina.
Any bye weeks anticipated?
No, it won't be any bye weeks. Again, with the smaller number of teams that I'm shooting for, I would like us to just go through a complete 10 games, and that includes the championship season. And, I want the guys that are going to be playing to have the opportunity to move up into the other leagues and that sort of thing. So I don't want to hold them past a certain amount of time. So June 13th, we'll have the whole 10-week season from start to finish in there, and no bye weeks. And we'll probably only have like one round of the playoff and go straight to the championship.
Have you determined your championship location? You don't have to disclose it if you're not ready to.
Yeah. Championship, no, it's cool. Champion week, I give you all the exclusives on here. The draft exclusive was on here, and again, the championship will be June 13th in Florence, South Carolina. Florence, South Carolina, put together a dope package for Andre Duncan and his organization to host the championship in Florence for the first season of the PAIA. And I mean, we were ecstatic to be able to hold the first championship in Florence, South Carolina. It's going to be a great championship game. I can tell you that.
Awesome.
Whatever, who's there.
Awesome. No, that's definitely good stuff. So we've covered the schedule, right? We know when you're kicking off. We know how many games are being played. A short, brief playoff championship game. Are teams going to be allowed to play any games outside of the league ahead of time? I know we see a bunch of exposition games. I mean, so would there be any opportunity maybe for your teams to play against out of league competition?
We're absolutely. See, we're an independent association, right? So you're not exclusive to us. And we give our association partners the opportunity to do as they please as an organization. So cross-marketing games with other leagues, cross-league games are definitely welcome because we want to make sure we put out a product. Again, a lot of teams are hesitant to jump on the ideal of joining the PAIA because it's so new, and we want to show that we're going to put a professional product on the field. I don't want people to feel like they're getting, again, I say no disrespect all the time, but I don't want people to feel that they're getting indoor football teams when they come to the arena that's not really set to compete or put up a good fight in the game, because paying customers see that type of thing. And, of course, we set up certain opponents so we can beat them up and our fans can get behind the team and that sort of thing. But I want the product at the PAIA, even though we're not exclusive, they're not exclusive to me, to us, I want the product to be at a level where, the AFL will invite PAIA association teams. The NAL will invite PAIA association teams to participate with their teams. And we're going to put a professional product on the field, which is something I've been known for since before I actually got an arena deal, when I was a traveling team for these different arena leagues all the way back in, 2008, 2009. It was the professionalism. We got our ass kicked when we went, no question. But we presented ourselves as a professional organization. Our fellows went out there and presented themselves as professionals, and we got that type of respect from people. So that's what I want people to see in other organizations and leagues to see with association teams. With us, is the professionalism. And just because we're not exclusively in your league doesn't mean that our teams aren't interested in doing cross-league games.
Well, I think that's an important aspect, All right, and this is my personal opinion, and I mean, I'm not to use the National Football League in the arena space as, apples to apples. Obviously, we're apples and oranges here. But when we saw the change from a 4-game preseason to a 3-game preseason, and then a lot of the teams are moving away from playing their starters, we've essentially seen in the National Football League where leagues week one, week two, they are the first time the teams are actually coming together and playing. And it's not like, one set of downs or limited, snaps, whatever it might come down to. So we see that has impacted. So I think it is vital to any organization, as you mentioned, being professional, to be able to get those kinks, knock that rust off, become a cohesive unit. I think it's important to get that stuff out of the way before a season, because week one, all the games matter. I know, but let's be realistic. National Football League, week one versus week 10, the quality of play is significantly different. And I think there's a thing, especially with shortened seasons, you kind of have to hit the ground running, especially in a first year. So I'm glad that you guys are opening that up. It does kind of get more people to set eyes onto your league, your guys' product. I could see that being extremely valuable. So I'm happy personally that that's something that's happened. And not, I get there's always a cost factor in anything more travel, whatever you're doing. But I think it's so vital to the product that you guys are going to put on display, not only for those that are coming in, but it kind of leads to my next question. Can we expect there to be any form of broadcast, any sort of stream for the season?
So I'm really working on another part of the PAIA is the entertainment value of arena football. Me personally, I don't feel like any league or team has really tapped into the entertainment and content value of arena football. So I'm working on some deals to try to see how we will broadcast our games and a reality series, because I want people to see the behind the scenes as we go through this season, whether it be at the association's home office here in Atlanta, or it's here, it's in Florence, South Carolina at their offices, or it's in Macon, or the other teams. That I want people to be connected to the product as a whole. And so I'm trying to figure out which platform, how are we going to work the streaming situation. Again, a lot of leagues say that they have media deals and that sort of thing, and at the end of the day, it's not like old school media deals where you're getting paid to broadcast. Now you're having to pay to broadcast.
I was going to say
I don't mind. Right. So I don't mind putting in having to invest in our product, but I want to make sure we're able to capitalize on our content these days more so than anybody I've seen here in the past. If I were to give you an example of what I'm speaking on, Gene Simmons' Fourth and Loud reality show from back in 2009, I think 2010, when they were bringing the kids to LA. That's the more of what I'm trying to do, is focus on that entertainment value also. Also, you put in the XFL value of what the cameras were looking like, the presentation of the game when we're streaming it. These are all details that I'm paying attention to and really working on in the background. So when we do put our product out there from a visual perspective, people can gravitate to it. It'll be engaging. It'll be something that's new and, something exciting.
Good deal. I mean, I always think that's a missed opportunity. I know we looked in the XFL's relaunch for 2023, or the USFL before, the merger came to the United Football League. They had that each one of those leagues were doing their own kind of docu-series a little bit during the week. And then it's where we got, from the USFL, we heard about Pizzagate, for anyone that may remember that. And, was it chicken salad, pizza, whatever. It was that mix on it. But it's interesting. Not only are you getting the glimpse behind the scene, but you're also bridging the week. There's that mess in between that I think is vital. I think the National Football League, the king of all American sports, so to speak, has found a way to just utilize every aspect of the calendar. And I don't just mean in season, like bridging how they got, the games all day Sunday, Monday night, Thursday night, but they found ways to always do the off season, right? And just kind of keep the National Football League in everyone's foresight, just in front and center. So with that being said, I think that's vital to any league. And again, there's a lot going on. There's extra, attention to detail needs to go in these other, areas, but I think it's valuable to the end product. So, I mean, I commend you guys for that. That's awesome.
And I look at it like a lot of people, I'll take, for example, the Jake Paul and Mike Tyson fight. One of the things that I thought was most important in the promo, a statement that was most important in the promo, is when Mike Tyson said that Jake Paul is a manufactured killer. I'm a natural born killer. We have got to realize at this point in time that manufactured entertainment is what's selling at this point in time. Everything is about entertainment at another level. Everything may not be just based on the game. It's an entertainment factor there. It's something that you need to grab people. And I really want to, focus on that cinematic and theatrical side of it that no one's been able to tap into. Again, no one is being profitable from their content online. No team has been able to maximize, no organization, 3-letter organization has been able to maximize or be profitable online. You have consistent posts and that sort of thing, but your engagement and your footprint and the quality of content that you put out there is not there. So I definitely want to pay attention to that. And it opens the opportunity for the fellas that's involved in this to get other opportunities, possibly in acting and entertainment and that sort of thing, because that's what this is. The football is going to be there. We know the base of the game. The entertainment factor is what I really want to focus on when you come to a PAIA game.
So entertainment, I'm going to use this bridge very loosely, okay? So we see in modern day sports fantasy football, right? You have your traditional draft leagues, keeper leagues, and then you have your daily fantasy. We see the progression of sports betting, right?
Yep.
And, we've seen leagues like the XFL when it returned in 2023, really jumping on the over-under, the spread, and constantly talking about stuff like that. They didn't get into the fantasy aspect of it. So I guess I'm just going to leave it. Is there any way that you anticipate incorporating any of that into, your games, into your, your production?
Absolutely. Actually, it was something that I was working on back in 2015, 2016, was trying to get the fantasy and the betting platform and structure set up so we could introduce it and it could kind of run smoothly in the arena game. I think a couple of people tried it, and we're going to try to implement it like I am. I am working on that aspect of it right now to try to include some type of sports gambling in this sports and entertainment industry that we're in now. So, I think it'll make it super, super interesting, give our fans another way to be engaged with what's going on with our teams, what's going on with our individuals, and what's going on with the association as a whole. So I think it's very vital that we tap into it if it's at all possible. And I do think it's possible, and it's something that we're definitely working towards.
Well, I can see, just out of, my own experience, you may be a fan of a sport, of a league, but you typically end up becoming a fan of one team. But when you add those other aspects to it, well, now being a Dolphins fan, as you can see behind me, and I grew up in Western New York, I can't stand the Buffalo Bills. And my friends from where I grew up, where I went to college, even since then, no, I can't stand the Buffalo Bills. But when it comes to our draft leagues, I have no problem drafting and playing a Buffalo Bill player and now watching the Buffalo Bills game to see what my player is doing, right? I'm invested into it at another, another layer, another level, so to speak. So I could see, and I don't bet. So I mean, to each their own, whoever wants to. But I can see those that are betting on games, looking at opportunities with the over-unders, the spreads, the whatnot. Maybe they're doing parlays on individual player performances. There are ways to potentially, all right, I might be only a fan of one team, but now I might be tuning into the other games that are going on this week, which also help the
Yeah,
the end goal, viewership and sponsorship dollars and all that type of stuff as well.
absolutely, absolutely. So we're definitely looking into the sports betting aspect of the PAIA. Hopefully, I'll be able to announce that it's going to take a few more, I'm pretty sure at least another month, 6 weeks or so to decide if we're going to, be able to do it again. It goes along with the negotiations that we're having with the teams that's trying to finalize and see if we can hit the deadlines and that sort of thing. So, but that is definitely something that we're going to implement.
I get it. Everything's got to make sense.
Oh, yeah,
Whether it's timelines, bottom line, whatever it is, it's got to come together. If it doesn't, there's no reason to do it because it's only going to be a disaster. I get it. So that makes sense. Another thing I wanted to kind of touch base on here, Terrence, is I noticed earlier this month, and you alluded to it a little bit here, but I think it's something worth kind of diving into. The league announced its partnership with the historically black colleges and universities, which I understand the PAIA is hosting the free tryout that you were alluding to and a media day on December 7th. Can you walk us through how this particular partnership came about and how impactful you anticipate it being for both the players and the league?
Well, my hometown of Albany, Georgia, has the Albany State Rams, which is HBCU. I've done a lot of work with different HBCUs around here in the South, Clark, Atlanta, Morehouse, Morris Brown back in the day. And I've always noticed that, on the higher level, HBCU talent has started to get drafted a little bit more over the last couple of years, but those fellas don't get the opportunity to move up to the higher level. Now, I look at things again in a realistic perspective. Size, measurements, those metrics, all of that plays into it. And if they're not D1, the likelihood of moving up is not that likely. So if they still don't want to give up their opportunity to play and want to, continue to move on, they should have an opportunity to do that. But no league, three-letter organization has ever focused on the talent from HBCUs. I think over the last few years, and credit to, Prime Time for making the spotlight bigger on HBCUs over the last, 6 years or so. The talent has started to get a little bit more notoriety, but no one has been intentional on making sure our HBCUs and the talent that comes from there has a streamline into professional football. No, you're not making the hundreds of thousands of dollars and millions of dollars, but you can make, up to $1,000 a week. You know what I'm saying? You're learning the business. You're getting things done. You're able to continue your passion and hopefully it be a career. And so I thought it would be most important to focus on HBCUs. And, I spoke to a couple of coaches from a couple of teams about it. This has been, again, over some years. And then here over the last few, this year, just having some conversation with them and seeing if it was something that they thought would be, interesting and fruitful to the HBCUs. And I got a lot of yeses. And so we started calling those to put it together. There was a lot of interest. We have some marketing things that's going on with the PAIA and the some of the conferences in the HBCUs. We are kind of in negotiations with them to do some, marketing work with the PAIA. You see a banner that's on our website right now. That's going to be able to change. We're going to update it so it has rotating features that's a little different and new that we haven't seen done. And we have, a couple of teams already lined up. The first one will most likely, again, we're waiting on on the official 1 or 2, but the first date should be Johnson C. Smith in South Carolina.
It's just an interesting thing. I know we saw the XFL when it launched in 2023, dedicated a showcase. Out of all their showcases, they made sure they went. I believe the first one was at Jackson, and then they went at someplace in Georgia for the second year. But it's one of those things that, yeah, I mean, there are so many players every year that are leaving the college ranks. It doesn't matter if it's Division One FBS, Division One FCS, D2, D3, NAIA, the JUCO players. There's just a plethora of players, and I'm a former Division III product. I didn't play football because I came from a high school that didn't have football at the time. Obviously, the football program got instituted after I left, so that may have changed some things. But I was a soccer player, but I played, and I can't tell you how many players I played with or against that were either dropbacks from Division One, or their SAT scores weren't quite high enough to qualify to play for their Division One school of choice, so they had to take the year semester, which soccer, fall football ends up being this very similar, end up playing at a D3 or maybe a D2 opportunity, wherever it might be, with the hopes of getting back into it. Again, there's a lot of people that discredit the lower levels, but it's interesting. I mean, no one's questioning Tyreek Hill, and he was not a Division One football player. I mean, no one's questioning where his place is, his ability. I mean, at one point he was arguably the best, if he, at least today, probably still top 3 in the National Football League. So I mean, like, wasn't D1. So I mean, it's just, there is opportunity. There are stones unturned. There are some people that maybe just the ability there just needs to be polished a little bit more. So obviously reaching out there, not only is it a great avenue for you guys to connect with and kind of build that partnership, but I think it kind of gives somebody a foot in the professional game. So obviously, everyone looks at pyramids or the ladder, the first rung, the second rung. Where do you see, how do you not only offer the opportunity to a player that may not have it, but where do you vision yourself in that hierarchy, so to speak, that ladder, that pyramid? I know there's vast differences across the board, Terrence. So there are no two leagues alike, especially in the arena space, or even now we got, the National Football League, the Canadian Football League, you got the UFL, you got the IFA launch. I mean, even when you look at nothing, the rules, everything are slightly different. But where do you kind of see yourself? I mean, is this kind of a, Major League Baseball or hockey situation where you kind of see like, the AHL or AAA baseball, AA, kind of like, where do you kind of see?
So yeah, I definitely see myself as if I was to term as a AAA organization in baseball, that would be because the bigger organizations can offer more money. Again, the business structure is this, as far as the owners do the negotiation with their teams as far as how much money they can make, they get in their team. Like, the players are actually negotiating their contracts. It's not that you guaranteed this or not. Once you sign your contract, of course, it's guaranteed, but how much you can make is negotiable. And it's teaching these young men how to negotiate their contracts, even if they have representation that wants to come in and try to help start doing business with them. But I look at it as the AAA farm system, and we'll move them up. That's just for now. Because I do feel like after this season is successful, the first season is successful, people will understand the business model. I wish no ill will on anybody, but there have been 10, 15 new teams announced in 2 other 3-letter leagues thus far. I can assure you half of those teams won't make it into the season next season. And when the season starts, 2 or 3 more will fold it between week 1 and week 3 because of operational capital and not being able to meet overhead. I'm going to show other teams, other organizations, how to run your business, be profitable, or it maintains its own self, and you could be successful. So right now, this year, I'm the AAA feeder system until hopefully some of the bigger teams, and I have my eyes on some teams that'll round up this Southeast region specifically, and even in the whole South, that were a part of other leagues, that are a part of other leagues that I'm in talks with for next season also, because they understand that they're not making any money right now, and to be operating under one of the other three-letter leagues is not beneficial to them. So a lot of people will be surprised, but it is important that we do this first year and we have a successful year. Our teams that are association teams that have arenas, to see that this business model works for teams to be able to make money. Because at the end of the day, it's about you being able to make money and hit your bottom line every single week, your payroll, your payables, everything. And so that's what I'm encouraging people to rock with: an independent schedule, independent association where you don't have to pay these excessive amounts of money and already in a negative before you ever open your doors or kick off the first ball.
Well, I don't want to keep putting you on, the spotlight or on the hot seat. So I'll leave this last one before we wrap up. Okay. Is there anything that you think I missed as far as a question that will help you get out what you believe is important to those tuning in to know about the PAIA? Before you be like, oh man, I wish we would have discussed this before we got before we wrapped up.
Let me see. Like I said, I just want everybody to understand that the association is not anything exclusive. You do have an association, small association fee where we focus on the games. We make sure that your games are played through the teams that we've agreed upon. Your championship game is already taken care of. Your championship hat, shirts, rings, trophy has already been paid for in your association fee and is manufactured at this very moment. So we don't have to worry about any of those things. That's what we focus on, the games, to make sure the regular season is played, our playoff, and our championship, and our fans get the games that are scheduled to them. Outside of that, your business is your business. You're able to operate as an organization how you need to in your area, because there's no such thing as a nostalgic business model that works in all of the arena football leagues. And cities. Your model has to be different. I'm not a big proponent or fan of that everybody get paid $1,000 a week in the AFL business model. In the NAL's business model, it makes no sense. And that's in the AFL, the AFL did the minimum $1,000. That's $21,000 a week that you're in the hole for 10 weeks. That's almost $250,000 that you've already committed to before you ever sold anything. Before you ever sold a ticket, a T-shirt, a sponsorship, or anything. And this day and age, it used to be back in the day that this business was a concession and sponsorship business. It is no longer a concessions and sponsorship business, because with our economy being how it is, advertising and marketing dollars leave first in big companies. That was something big in this industry. It's not there anymore. You have to go mom and pop in order to get your sponsorship sold. Concessions are less than what they used to be because the fees for these arenas have went up. So now you have to be able to capitalize on your gate, your merchandise, and your content. We focus on those things in the PAIA, and we try to help you build that. When you rock with us, we have a merchandising opportunity for our associates to come in. I can promise you, you will never get a merchandising situation better than what we can offer you. And I mean, Nike, Adidas, Under Armour, whatever that you want, we have deals with those situations where we can provide those. So when you put those things out on your site to sell, you don't have to charge or galvanize your fans and charge them $80 for a Nike hoodie. You can put it on your site and offer it to them for $45 because you didn't end up having to pay an excessive amount of overhead in order to get that. These are things that business-wise makes more sense in the PAIA. So those are things that I wanted to put out there. The defense is able to score, not just on an interception or a scoop and score. If the defense holds, they get points. If a defense creates a turnover, they get points. If they scoop or recover a turnover, they get more points. If they score, they get more points. You'll be able to see all of this and these details on our website, gopaia.com. We'll be updating things on our social media, our site, all the way through the next couple of months, man. We want to get everybody engaged. And if there's anything that you would like to talk about, know about, reach out to me, commish at gopaia.com. Go to our website, or go to our Facebook, our Instagram, our Twitter, reach out, our X. That is not Twitter anymore, our X, and reach out.
Well, that's good because I normally get around and give you that opportunity to plug those. So since you took care of that, I just want to thank you. I appreciate your time for coming on the show. It's been a pleasure. I mean, I've obviously learned a lot, and I'm intrigued, and so I'll be tuning in. We'll have to.
Love to be back. I love to be back. Definitely love to be back.
Oh, I would love to have you back because it's everyone's trying to learn things. But eventually we want to get past that. We want to kind of start talking about the football, the more, the actual fun parts and spots of the content that make us follow any league or team. So I think it's very important to do that. So, when we get closer to the season, maybe we could reach back out and see if we can have you on to kind of talk about what it's going to look like more so at kickoff. And then maybe we can kind of, come back, mid-season, maybe postseason. And just kind of review some things. I mean, I would love that opportunity. I don't want to put you on the hot spot right now to commit, but that would be pretty cool.
I'll commit right now. We'll make everything work.
All right. Well, thank you, Terrence. And I know we have the holiday right around the corner, so happy Thanksgiving and happy holidays.
Likewise, brother.
All right. Thank you. To some, the PAIA is just another arena or indoor league. To front office staff, coaches, players, and local football fans, it is much more than that. It is another opportunity for professional football. Terrence gracing the show with an appearance and pulling back the curtain provide us with a better understanding of what the PAIA is and what we can expect moving forward. I understand there are people who may be skeptical. However, teams and leagues also have experience in failure and loss. That experience is invaluable. It is something that dedicated and passionate executives and ownership can utilize in order to develop a model that not only works, but allows them to flourish. So let's not write off the PAIA or similar leagues who are not a duplicate league, but one that is making change and giving teams and fan bases a future of hope. I have said it before, we are truly living during a point in history that American football, gridiron football, pigskin, whatever people around the world want to call it, it is at its peak and played by an unprecedented number of players, leagues, and teams. In spirit of the holiday, or not, that is something to be cherished and grateful for. In addition to my family, friends, clients, and partners, I am thankful to everyone who continues to tune in each week, and I would like to wish every one of you a safe and wonderful holiday. I'll see you all next week for an all-new episode of Player 54 Podcast.
Thank you for tuning into today's show. You can support the show and our partners by using code PLAYER54 at checkout at any of the following websites: RoyalRetros.com, where you can save 15%, TrueVictory.com, where you can save 15%, BuckDuck.com, where you can save 20%, ImpactMouthguards.com, where you can save 10%, HobbyArmor.com, where you can save 5%, JustMeatJerky.com, where you can save 10%. Don't forget to follow, like, subscribe, and rate Player 54 Podcast on your platforms of choice. Do you have a question or topic you would like to have discussed on the show? Message us via social media or send an email to player54podcast@gmail.com.